The cries came from the riverbank. Sharp, breaking, almost human. A tiny bear cub stumbled through the reeds, fur matted with mud, calling for a mother who would never answer. The storm had passed hours ago, leaving the forest drenched and silent. Branches hung broken, the air thick with rain and loss. He nudged the still shape beside him, her body cold, eyes glazed. He whimpered once, then again, smaller each time, until even the sound seemed to fade into the mist. Across the clearing, something moved. A moose stepped from the trees, her breath steaming in the dawn chill. Her calf pressed close to her side, blinking at the noise. The cub turned unsteady, and the two locked eyes, predator and prey, both too young to understand the distance between them. The moose froze. Every instinct screamed to leave. But then the cub cried again, weak, hoarse, and utterly alone. And she did the unthinkable. She stepped closer. By dusk, the cub had stopped crying. He followed the moose at a distance, paws dragging, hunger hollowing him out. Every few steps, he stumbled, but the sound of her hooves kept him moving. She had tried to ignore him at first, leading her calf deeper into the forest. But when the night wind rose and the wolves began to howl, she turned back. The cub was still there, shaking, half buried in fallen leaves, eyes wide with fear. She lowered her head, sniffed the air. The smell of death still clung to him. Yet something else lingered, something small and pleading. When the wolves' calls grew closer, she stepped between the cub and the trees, antlers tilted toward the sound. Her calf huddled against her flank. The forest watched, prey defending predator, life rewriting its own rules. That night, she didn't run. She stayed. And by morning, 3 sets of tracks led away through the mud, side by side. The seasons turned, and the forest began to whisper about the strange herd that walked its trails. A moose, her calf, and the bear cub who followed close behind. At first, the cub was clumsy. His claws tore at roots instead of berries. He scared off the birds she taught her calf to watch. When she grazed, he watched her chew and tried to copy her, mouthing grass that made him gag. But he learned, not to eat as she did, but to move as she moved. Quietly. Cautiously. Listening to the rhythm of the wild instead of fighting it. When danger came quietly, shadows gliding through the trees, the whisper of paws over frost. Wolves. The moose froze, ears twitching. Her calf pressed close to her flank. The cub stood behind them, trembling, unsure. The first wolf lunged from the dark, teeth bared, eyes burning. The moose swung her antlers, striking air, driving the pack back a few paces. Then one broke through. A snarl, a blur, a cry. The cub didn't think. He roared. Small, desperate, raw, but enough to make the wolves hesitate. He threw himself forward, snapping at their legs, rolling, biting, and dragging one down into the snow. His claws found strength that hunger had hidden. When the wolves scattered, the moose turned, nostrils flaring. Her flank was bleeding, a shallow gash across her side. She met his eyes. No fear this time, no confusion. Only recognition. From that night, they were bound. The cub grew fast, heavier, stronger, his shoulders thickening under the coat of new seasons. The moose's calf no longer flinched when he passed. They played together in shallow streams, kicking up water and leaves. The forest watched them in silence, a family stitched from 2 worlds. When winter came, he cleared the snow with his paws so they could graze beneath. In spring he waded into the river first, breaking the ice so the others could drink. He had learned the sound of her call, the deep, rumbling grunt she gave when danger neared, when it was time to run, or to stand. And every time she called, he answered. Not as a cub anymore, but as her son. Years passed. The cub became a giant, thick-shouldered, dark as rain-soaked bark, eyes calm and knowing. He no longer followed the moose herd. He led beside them. The forest changed too. Fewer trees, quieter nights. Sometimes the sound of engines rolled through the valley, harsh and foreign. One autumn morning, the air carried a new scent. Oil, metal and smoke. Hunters. They came through the northern pass, boots sinking into mud. One raised his rifle toward the grazing herd by the riverbank. The moose lifted her head, ears twitching. Her grown calf froze. Upstream, the bear smelled it first. Gunpowder, fear. Then the click. The rifle cracked. Birds burst from the trees. The moose stumbled, blood streaking her flank. The herd scattered, all except her calf, who cried out beside her. Then came the roar. It rolled through the valley like thunder. The bear charged down the slope, paws tearing through reeds. Hunters shouted, scrambling. A shot grazed his shoulder, spinning him, but he kept running. He crashed into the water, sending spray skyward. Branches snapped, and men fled. The forest shook with his fury and his memory. When silence returned, he stood in the reeds, chest heaving, blood thick on his fur. The moose limped toward him, breath ragged. She pressed her head to his chest, muzzle brushing his wound. He sank low beside her, eyes meeting hers. Predator and prey no longer, only family. The calf stepped closer, resting its nose on his paw. The bear rumbled softly, not anger, but relief. The fading sun spilled gold across the river. The herd watched from the ridge. The hunters were gone. And there, between blood and light, the bond that began with a cry in the rain held strong, fierce, impossible, unbroken. Winter came again, slow, heavy and endless. The river froze over, and the trees bowed under snow. The moose's breath grew shallower, her steps slower with each sunrise. She lay down beneath the birch where the ice first thawed every spring. Her calf stood nearby, grown now, strong and steady. And beside her, as he had always been, the bear. He lowered his head close to hers, his great body shielding her from the wind. The forest was silent, wrapped in white. When she exhaled her final breath, it rose as mist between them, a soft, fading cloud that vanished into the cold. The bear didn't move. Not that day, nor the next. Snow gathered along his back, covering him until he looked like part of the land itself. When spring finally came, rangers found the clearing. The birch had new buds, the ground already green where the snow had melted early. Two shapes marked the soil, one large, one small, side by side. Nearby, massive paw prints circled the place, pressed deep into the thawing mud. The ranger said it looked like he had kept watch until the end, guarding her the way she once guarded him. And some nights, when the wind moves through the valley, the animals still pause and listen. They say the sound that follows isn't thunder, but the low rumble of a bear calling softly across the marsh, a son keeping the promise his mother once made in the rain. The forest remembers. Because love, once given, never leaves the wild.